This is Abdullah Kashmulik, CIS 148, programming using Java, and this is week 8 assignment. This is my main class where I called all the classes in here to keep it organized and separate them by a line. This is to gather all the classes together so that I can call them in the main. As for example 1, I created a program that calculates the GPA. It asks for the user for the number of courses and a credit and grade for each class. What I learned from this assignment is to create different values for credit depending on the number of loops I'm going to make by creating like this, and then adding a number in here that stating that the number of variables of credit that I'm going to create. And in this example I want it to be the same number as the number of courses. Now moving to my loop, first is going to ask for the credits for that course, for that specific course, and it's going to ask for the grade as a letter for that course. I used A, B, C to keep it short, and otherwise it's going to be a 0 credit for the course. Now in the loop I used I to indicate the different values of credit, like for example credit 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Also what I learned in this assignment is that when we're dividing an integer by an integer, because credits is an integer and points are going to be an integer, and when I divide these two values is going to give me an integer rather than give me a double, which I need a double for the GPA. So by adding this double before the two values is going to convert the result to a double. I also learned how to format my output by different ways. For example, in this example I have 2 points before and after the dot between the decimal value, and it's a float, and this is just to add a new line. As for my second example, which is to calculate the total price, what I learned in this example is how to get values out of a string and put them in different variables. To make it easy, I just put 3 variables, and the input was already in the program rather than having user input. Now I separated each value with a space, and if I add \n in here, it's not going to be considered a space, so that gave me a problem. So the data has to be in a certain format. I also added 3 letters AAA in the middle just to use a different function, which is to remove this AAA. I use the replacement, the replace function, which will replace any AAA with nothing. So simply it's going to remove it, or we can replace any value or name with another name. And to get the values out, first I use the function split. So I know, well, it's going to split the values by spaces. I know that split is by spaces. This is going to consider to be the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Each value is going to be more than one. The difference between each value and another, like the table and chair, is 3. So whenever I want to get the product name, I just add 0 plus 3. So the first one is going to be 0, and which is going to be 1 in the next one. So 1 times 3 is going to be 3. So it's going to be adding 3 to get the next value, and so on. For the price, this is going to be value 1, and the next price is going to be value 4. The quantity is going to be value 3. The next one is going to be value 6. Oh no, this is sorry, I mean this is going to be 2. This is value 4 because this is value 0. Next one's 3. This is 2. Next value is 5. Anyway, to calculate the price is simple. We just multiply the two values together. What I also learned from the format is that first we have to put our we're going to replace each one of these with a variable that we add at the end. So first we put our statements or whatever we want to print, then these are going to be replaced by variables in order that I put them at the end. For my third example is just to use some math functions. I use the pi function, and I also use the cosine. And in this example, I didn't know that needs radians, and I was entering angles, so I wasn't getting the right measurement. So I had to use the function 2radians, which is going to convert any radius I'm going to input into any angle I'm going to input into radian, which is going to correct my output. Now to run the program, let's say we have 2 courses, and first credit for the first course is going to be 5, and it's an A. As for the second course, it's a 6, and it's a B. It's gonna show us the total points 38, total credits 11, GPA 3.45. This is the second class, so it reads each one, like the price and the name of the product, the table, and everything. This is just to print them on the top. And each share is gonna cost that much, and so on, and the total price. This is to calculate the area of the circle. So the radius, let's say it's 5, is going to calculate the area. And as for the triangle, it's going to get 2 sides and an angle, and it will calculate the area.